Yeah, morning, guys. Just want to do a video this morning about Belmarsh. I've been doing this video and the last video on my tablet, so the sound quality is not brilliant, so I apologise for that. Um, yeah, Belmarsh. I know I've done a few videos before about Belmarsh, so and they did do all right. I've not been getting a lot of views, but like I say, I don't do this for money, just a hobby. Uh, just something to keep myself occupied while I'm doing an opiate detox at the moment. So, just trying to keep my brain occupied and stuff like that. So, yeah, Belmarsh. So, first time I was in Belmarsh was the end of 1991. I think I've done videos about that. But I got out from that, but I was back in again in 92. I've been in Belmarsh a few times, several times. Sometimes I got sentenced, sometimes I got out, and there was no further action and stuff like that, or I got out on bail and went to court. And when you go to court, it was dealt with by the magistrates or the Crown Court, and it was a community sentence. But the time I'm going to be talking about is 1992. I was in there doing a 2-year sentence, I think. I think it was 2 years or 19 months, I can't remember. But the outcome of that, I've done the whole sentence in Belmarsh. So I was in there from 92 and 93. I think I got out early 93 on parole and done the rest of the sentence on licence. And obviously I was back in, got nicked on licence while still on parole, and then got another 3 years on top of that. So yeah, 92. First of all, I went to House Block 3, which was the remand wing then. Unconvicted, pleaded guilty, got convicted at Croydon Crown Court. Obviously went back to Belmarsh. A little bit of backstory. So yeah, had a bad drug problem. So I was out thieving, and doing all sorts of things to finance my habit. Sadly, I've done some bad things. Not proud of that. But after sentence, because I was convicted, I went to House Block 4. And as I've said before, I did have a sort of fight over there on House Block 4 and ended up down the Seg for a week or two for doing someone with a PP9, which is a battery, a big battery. I think they were 9-volt batteries. It's a bit smaller than a motorcycle battery, about half the size of a motorcycle battery, and you put that in a sock, a couple of socks, tie a knot on it, and you'd have a heavy tool there. You'd crush someone with it, So I got done for that, lost a bit of remission. I can't remember how long in remission I lost, but I got the remission back, and it didn't affect me when I eventually went for parole. Plus the other geezer, Mickey, I knew him, and he was sort of a friend, so we made up after it, and became friends again. And so, I know that he didn't give a statement or anything like that, so that all went in my favour. So, but because that happened on House Block 4, I had to be moved to House Block 2, and obviously I could still see my friends over there on House Block 4, because on free flow, when you got off the wing to go to the workshops, you could chat with your associates, your pals from other wings or whatever, or you could see them on Sunday at the church. They'd have Roman Catholic services and Church of England services, on a Sunday, and you could see people from other wings. And I'm from Carshalton originally, in southwest London, or Surrey, whatever you want to call it. There was a few people in there then. 3 of my friends were in there for supplying drugs, conspiracy to supply, and sadly they're all dead now. Little Tony Willoughby, sadly died liver cancer, possibly from substance abuse, and it's very sad. Nice guy. And Neil Sadler, He died. I think he'd been drinking and he got locked out of his flat. And rather than kick the door off or wait for a locksmith, he climbed. He'd left the window open, climbed up, and sadly climbed up to the second floor and slipped and fell and broke his neck and died. That was sad as well. That was another friend I've known my whole life. And the other guy, Reese, sadly, Reese Murphy, no longer with us. He died as well from an overdose, and I've done quite a lot of bird with Reese. So yeah, they were all on House Block 3, and they were in there for supplying, and their other Cody Gill from Old Kent Road, he got a 7, Tony got a 7, Reese and Neil got not guilty, but then Reese got nicked for armed robbery on his next sentence and got 5. That's the one where I was away with him a lot. So yeah, and Neil just got not guilty, and yeah. So moving on from that, yeah. So I was on the House Block 3 when I was on remand with those guys, and then I was moved to House Block 4. Stephen Gillen was there, House Block 4, when I was over there. He was a nice guy, always friendly and that, yeah. But I think he got released or went to another prison, possibly, or something like that. I think on one of his videos he actually went out on home leave and done a bit of work, and he got caught on that and then got a massive sentence, double figures. But anyway, yeah, so that was House Block 4. So then I was moved, like I say, to House Block 2 after a couple of weeks down the block. 2 weeks, I think, down the block. So I went on House Block 2, and on my spur, there's a few people there. Lenny McLean was there, Billy James, yeah, Dean Howes was there, but he was on the spur next to me, and a couple of other people from Carshalton as well, but mainly Dean Howes, because I knew him from outside, so yeah, there was quite a few other people from where I'm from, Carshalton and that in there, but dispersed around the prison. And I think Chrissy Farley was there for firearms, and he was on. I think he was on the HSU, the double ACAT bit. I think, if I remember rightly, I did see him in reception. Yeah. So yeah. So on when I went to House Block 2 on my spur, like I say, Lenny McLean was there. So yeah, it wasn't like it is now with being really famous. He hadn't been on TV. This is before he was in the knock, but he was pretty well known in the criminal underworld, and he had been his unlicensed fights had been in the national newspapers, and it wasn't like it is now. Like I've said before, that's where everyone got most of their information. There wasn't no internet or Facebook or anything like that. Most people got their news out of the newspapers. And talking of newspapers, Lenny was friendly with a guy called Martin. He had a big scar on his face, Martin. He was from Croydon, Martin Harrington, I think, and he was very friendly with Lenny. He used to go around all the Spurs delivering the papers. I think it was the Sun that Lenny used to get. But yeah. So what was he like? My opinion, me, I'd been when I've been on the out, I was heavily doing heroin, amphetamines, benzodiazepines, everything really. Well, not everything, but not drinking, but coke, and I was also prescribed methadone. But when I went in there, you didn't get any medication. The only thing they'd give you was like antipsychotics. Maybe if you were lucky, you get a few DFs for the first couple of days, but they wouldn't touch the side. So I was in bad withdrawal, so I wasn't too much on standing on the wing, looking over the railing, looking at what everyone else was doing. That wasn't really me. I was sort of like doing my own thing, probably chasing after a bit of brown, bags of heroin, buying it from cash I might have got brought up, or having a smoke from my visits. I used to get a few visits there. of family and friends. Sometimes they'd be carrying a bit of gear, my friends, you know, and pass it to me on the visits. It's a maximum security prison, so you know, you have to be careful when you're out in the visits there. But yeah, so yeah, like I said, I wasn't really watching everything, and he wasn't as famous, but yeah, he did get a lot of respect there on that spur, you know, on that wing. When it was dinner time, meal times, you know, you unlocked for meal times like breakfast time, lunch, and dinner time in the evening. He would always get unlocked first by the screws, and where I was in the cell directly opposite, at the end of the landing on the twos, you know, you'd walk onto the spur. You've got all these gates there, big massive gate. It's like this big square, and the cells go down that way, and there's a staircase at the end, and you go up the staircase, the iron staircase, to the ones and the twos. You know, there's 3 floors there, if I remember rightly. And yeah, so basically, yeah, you had the cleaners there. Bill James was on the cleaners, Terry Noonan as well. Yeah, so Lenny, he used to spend most of his time in his cell when, you know, when it was like association. When we had association, they didn't let the whole spur out in one go. It'd be, you know, 25% of the inmates, you know, because it was maximum security. They couldn't afford to let everyone out in one go, you know, in case it kicked off or something. But Lenny, he used to spend most of his time in the cell playing cards. You know, you'd see people going in there like Billy James and his other mate that was on the spur. He was one of the cleaners as well, Johnny, old boy. I can't remember his second name. And I used to see a crib board. Yeah, they used to play crib, I think, bridge, whatever. You know, Kaluki, I don't know. I can't really remember. But yeah. But like I say, he was a quiet person, really. He was never around the wing shouting his mouth off and running about and all that, you know. So they didn't have drug-free wings then, but I would imagine if it was later on and they had drug-free wings, he would have gone on to that sort of wing, you know. But yeah, so yeah, who else was there? Danny Lee was there, Mickey Lee's brother, who I knew from Bermondsey, because I'd lived there for 2 or 3 years earlier on in my life, you know, and I used to live on the same estate, and you know, I can't say too much about him because, you know, he got murdered and it's still an open case. They never found the murderer. And I do remember in the late 90s, early noughties, I was back living again on that same estate, Longfield Estate in Bermondsey, and I used to see him there. But, you know, at the time in 92, Danny, he was always run about. He had a bad drugs habit at the time, Danny Lee. And you know, he was well known around Bermondsey, Old Kent Road, you know, and yeah, so basically he was spending a lot of time running about, you know, trying to get money for gear, you know, resulting in him probably having a few people over. He actually had me over, you know, on a canteen deal. I'll give him 20 quid's worth of canteen, you know, and that's the maximum you're allowed to spend, and he had me over for that. You know, I didn't do nothing about it. You know, at the time I was in bad withdrawal, and the reason I didn't do anything is because I would have come off worse. I was just a skinny boy at the time, you know, not a grown man really, not physically anyway. At first, when I landed on that spur, on House Block 2, I was banged up with Frank Healy, and I'll see him later on in High Down Healy. You know, he was making a tea for the screws for the governor, actually, in High Down, for the #1 governor. So, you know, yeah, I'll see him later on. But like I say, I moved out of that cell eventually and went into a single, and eventually after that I moved to the spur next to it, because, you know, there's 3 spurs there, to be nearer Dean House, who was a friend, a good friend of mine, from out on the street. So, you know, you still used to see everything that was going on, you know, because as you were walking past for dinner, you could stop at the gates and get a quick chat with your mates from the other spurs and all stuff like that. Yeah. So yeah, I moved to the next spur. Lenny eventually went, obviously he went home or to another prison, but I didn't see him have any fights in there or anything like that. But I do remember him putting it on, sticking it on Danny Leahy, because you know, he didn't, as far as I know, he didn't like bullies, you know, and Danny was a bit of a bully, you know. But like I say, in that life, we've all done a bit of bullying or been bullied ourselves, you know, so that's just the way it is. But you know, he was a big, you know, Danny Lee was 6 foot, you know, he's quite a big guy, you know, and he could definitely have a row. But yeah, so I remember one time Lenny put it on him. He was harassing some other con, you know, obviously trying to get, you know, something out of them, canteen or money, whatever, you know, sticking it right on them. And Lenny see that it was, you know, it was at the time when you're getting let out for your tea. And he said to him, look, keep away from him, you know, you've already had it once. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, Dodo, which was Danny's nickname, Danny Lee, he sort of shuffled off, scurried off with his tail between his legs, you know. And yeah, so he obviously knew not to mess with him, you know. And like I say, he did have a lot of respect. But let's just go back to the other spur. So like I say, I was with Dean Howes. He was 2 cells down, he was in a double, and he was copying every day, because you could have visits 7 days a week there. But he used to get a visit off his Mrs. Sue every day, you know, 5 days a week, and then obviously a bit of a better package on the weekend to keep him going over the weekend. But some people there, you know, if they had the money, some people used to get a visit every 7 days, every day of the 7 days. I remember this one guy, I can't remember what he's called. His visitors used to have their car, they drive up, and then they let off their cow horns, you know, on their vehicle, really loud horn, to let him know that they were there, you know, and that, to get ready for his visit, you know, and everything was cool, you know. So yeah, this is before mobile phones. Even then, back in those days, pages were the thing, you know. If dealers and all that were using any communication devices, it was mainly a landline or a pager. Or they didn't have any at all. You just went on the street and hoped that they'd be where they usually was and see them that way, or go to some flat and put your money through the letterbox, and then the gear, hopefully the gear would come back out. Yeah, so back to the prison, Belmarsh. Yeah, so 92 still, yeah. I've now moved off the spur where Lenny McLean was to the spur where Dean Howes was. And yeah, I was in a double there. Like I said before, I was with this Italian guy, banged up with this Italian guy there while I was waiting for a single cell. And it was more like, to get a single, it was either for security reasons or, you know, how long you'd had your name on the list. So eventually I got a single cell, moved to the opposite side of the landing. And basically, yeah, I was grafting the ticket, keeping my head down, going to work in the workshops, also done the free flow cleaner in the walkways, you know, so, you know, I could pass messages and pick up packages for other cons and stuff like that and get paid for it. And yeah, eventually I went to my parole hearing when after I'd done, it was more than halfway. I think I'd done about 2/3 or just under 2/3. I went to my parole hearing where you actually went to it. You went to a room, you know, and they all sit there on a desk and you're there in front of them and you tell them why you should be released and what you've learned. And technically this was my first actual prison sentence as an adult, so, you know, I told them, you know, I'll never be doing crime again because I've learnt my lesson. It's my first adult prison sentence, you know, and because of the experience I won't be committing crime again. And obviously I've got parole, but sadly in less than 6 months I was back in and got another 3 years. But yeah, but that's another story. So look guys, I'm 20 minutes in. I'm going to get this video uploaded. I just want to say, I know I haven't been posting much, but like I say, my channel's only a small channel, and I like it like it is at the moment, you know, because I don't feel the need to post. No one pays for it; it's all free. I don't take money off of anyone, so you know I can. I don't feel obliged to post videos or anything like that. So yeah, and what I will just say is I'm going to try and get a video uploaded um, every month, at least one a month, to let you know how I'm getting on. For people that want to know things like that, you know, because like I say, it's not just strangers that watch this. You know, I've got quite a big family that watch this. You know, and lots of friends, friends from all the way back in school time and all that. You know, that watch it. So yeah, and I appreciate everyone that watches my videos. You know, but like I say, I don't mind it being a small channel because I don't get any trolls, and if I do, get bad comments. They're very rare. You know, because those sort of things, bad comments, they do affect people. You know, uh, people say they don't, but obviously they do. You know, but yeah. Anyway, I want to stop waffling and leave it there, and I'm gonna get on with my day. It's not very nice out there, and I just want to wish everyone well. You know, and just want to say thanks to everyone that's been supporting this channel, because you know, without you guys there wouldn't be no point putting anything up. So yeah, that's it guys, and I'll speak to you all soon. And take care everybody. Thanks.